I guess timing is everything. Thanks to our producer, we're just a buck short on the Ted DiBiase theme song, but I guess never late is better. Or is it the other way around? I'm never too sure about that. Anyways, welcome back. I'm your host, Easy Gee, on 97.3 The Gee, and this is GFHL Today. Before the break, we got into a little bit of the scoring breakdown, a little bit into the GMs, a little bit into the centrifugal day-to-day runnings of the GFHL. Now, just to give you a up-to-the-second ticker update, going around, we have 4 matchups this week. We have The Rock thus far giving El Grande Taco a bit of a baby back beatdown, up 41.40 to 29.10, and this is midway through Saturday night's affairs. Things not looking too good for the Taco. We have Victor Newman, or Doc, however way you want to look at it, he's up 47.10 to 43.90 over Sims Nation. Now, as we spoke, Sims, having some struggles this year in standings. Quickly we'll get the standings. Next up, we have an absolute slobber knocker of a matchup going on between Kings for Life and Dos Winning. At this point, Dos Winning has a slight edge at 34.80 to 34.20. I gotta warn you guys, there is a lot of time left. But what would be great for everybody except those two GMs would be a tie for everybody. And rounding out the week 9 matchups, we have Russo have a bit of a commanding lead at 65 over the Believers to 57.90. Like I said, there is still a lot of time left, but Russo seems to have this matchup under control. Now, before we get into the standings, I want to give to you the pay breakdowns. Now, we don't have all that much cheddar biscuits on the line here. I think buy-in is only $100, which is, depending on how you look at it, for every week you got to be on top of this. Not a lot of money, but it is about the bragging rights. It is about the week-to-week trash talk with the other GMs in the league. It is about owning your opponent, not only in the fantasy, but in the chat room as well. And nothing gives you the same sensation as winning a fantasy week that you were told you weren't going to win by one of the other GMs. Not to mention any names, the Rat. So, the payouts are as follows. $300 goes to the GM who has the best record. $300 goes to the GM that has the most fantasy points. And to round off the 3 payouts, $200 cheddar biscuits go to the playoff winner and goes the trophy. Now, some of you are of the opinion that it's all about the money, so if I have the most fantasy points and don't win best record, don't win the trophy, I still win. Hey, cheers to you. I'm not of that mindset. I am about winning the whole enchilada, the trophy, the bragging rights. I like to go into the summer knowing that my fantasy homework in the off season paid dividends come regular season. Getting into the standings. Starting off from, we'll start at the bottom, work our way up. What do you think, Timmy? You want to do that? Yeah, just look, my producer, Timmy. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. We'll start at the bottom. We'll kind of let you off the hook a little bit easier. Coming in at a dismal 1-7 with a .125 winning percentage is your commissioner, El Presidente, Sims Nation. Now, Sims has had a little bit of a rough go thus far, putting some good weeks together. He has 506 fantasy points, which is amongst the league leaders, just has good fantasy weeks at bad times. Coming in at 7th is El Grande Taco with a 3-5 record with not much better of a .375 winning percentage. Here's maybe the one thing that is most concerning about El Grande Taco. He only has 463.40 fantasy points and has only made 3 moves. That's my fantasy team. You're going to look at the amount of moves that I made and you're going to make comments, but I am a firm believer that you draft your team and you stick by your team. Some of the other GMs, not going to mention any names, Dave Tambu, drafts a player, drops them immediately following the draft. Why waste everybody's time, Dave, and do that? Just beyond me. And that's one of those pet peeve fantasy things that really grinds me, amongst others. But that's just one. I don't get that move. Coming in at 6 with a 3-5 record as well is the Rat, Dos Winning. He also has 479.0 fantasy points. Now, he's amongst the league leader in moves. He's made 16 moves, which is one more than Believers and Kings for Life. Really hasn't seemed to got him anywhere. He's made a few trades that we'll get into a little bit later on, and they haven't really paid dividends. Many believe, including myself, that he lost those 2 deals, but I guess if you're a Brian Little fan, like apparently the Rat is, you didn't lose that trade. Coming in at 5th is Victor Newman, 4-4 record with 441 fantasy points. He actually beat me earlier in the season. The Doc is trending upward. He's one of those consistent general managers who always seems to hang around and be there when it matters the most. He's has had some great goaltending from Holtby thus far, and a lot of people think that without Holtby he wouldn't be where he is. Hats off to Doc. I got nothing bad to say about him. Coming in at 4th is The Rock at 4-4 as well, with 494.80 fantasy points. Little side tip on The Rock: he is a chiropractor in his off time, and a few years back I tore my oblique. I think it was done in smashing a 3-iron, about 375. I caught it right in the nuts, and it felt great. Unfortunately, my oblique didn't feel that great after, and for the first time ever, he gave me acupuncture. Now, I'll tell you, the first needle goes in your ear. The second needle, I think, goes in your Achilles, or something to that extent, and it was definitely a different experience, but I can't say enough. I mean, I was limber in no time. I was busting a jig, cutting some rug. Thanks for that, Rock. In a 3rd is Russo at 5-3 with a .625 winning percentage. Now, he only has 434.20 fantasy points, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. He finds ways to catch GMs when they don't have their best week, and whether it's luck of the draw or whether it's being a good GM, Russo's found his way in the 3rd spot. Tied for first place, we have Kings for Life, Dave Tambu, at 6-2 record with 510 fantasy points. Now, without the assistance of Carey Price, who's had the groin saga, he went down with a groin injury, came back from the same groin injury, then went back on it again, and he's going to be out until Janvier sometimes. Might end up missing the Winter Classic, which is a great game for goaltenders to play in because it's just slapstick hockey with all the snow and the sleet and the slush. It's like just trying to put a tennis ball on net. And he still managed to put together a very, very impressive season. He does tend to use the waiver wire a lot, Dave. He's made 15 moves, which ties for second with the other co-leader, Believers. This week, Dave is in a neck-and-neck battle, but, Dave always finds a way to be there in the end, whether it's, getting some piece of the prize money. And rounding out the first place is CZ 69er, Chris Ambito and the Believers, with a 6-2 record with 546 fantasy points. Now, if the standings was to end today, Chris would have already claimed 2/3 of the illustrious Triple Crown. Chris does also like to use the waiver wire a lot, but I will give Chris credit where credit's due. He is a good fantasy GM in that he makes fantasy moves. He's very astute, very on top of the game. When Chris calls you for a trade proposal, you pick up the phone because you know he's going to try to fill your need as best as possible. Now, he's not a stuck-up GM in terms of making trades. He's not looking for a loophole to kind of grease a player through the back door to kind of hurt you, to help himself out more than anything else. He's looking to make fantasy hockey moves. And the thing about Chris is usually the moves that he doesn't make are the moves that will have hurt him. And he has a knack for only making moves and winning trades, as of late. So as much as I hate to do it, I gotta give credit where credit's due, and it's a well-earned first place thus far through 9 weeks of the fantasy season. We're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back to you with the NHL scoreboard on a Saturday night, and we're going to go over the waiver wire. You're listening to 97.3. Are you constantly saying, I can't find enough time in a day to complete all of the household chores? If so, let me help. Hello friends, this is Stefan from CC&T Landscaping Yard Maintenance. And if you are struggling to find enough time in your day to do all the yard work, let me help. I aerate, fertilize, cultivate, cut and trim with competitive rates and free estimates. Don't hesitate to call me at 647-702-9770. I'll talk to you soon.